In this next session, we are incredibly delighted to have Andrew Whitaker, the Master Principal Cloud Architect and Field CISO from Oracle, in conversation with Jonathan Trull, CISO and SVP Security Solution Architecture at Qualys, to give his views on the cybersecurity ecosystem in our partner keynote. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrew and Jonathan to the stage.
All right. Thanks again for having us. We're going to have a quick conversation about some important cloud security topics and a little bit about our partnership. So let's dig in. As we look at organizations, and especially when they're doing multi-cloud strategies, and I think some of the interesting announcements you guys have had around Oracle databases and where those can now live in different clouds. Like, what do you see as kind of the key security challenges, that companies are facing in these multi-cloud environments? And then, obviously, how can Qualys and Oracle, and as we collaborate, do more to ensure we have good security solutions for our customers?
Yeah. Thank you. So, at Oracle, one of the things that we knew from the very beginning was that we live in a multi-cloud world. And that's why now we have our databases available on Azure and AWS and Google. But it does pose some challenges. I remember, Jonathan, a few years ago, I was a CISO for the city of Seattle. And I felt really confident about what we had on-prem. But we were also Azure and OCI. And always in the back of my head, I was wondering, do I have the visibility that I need? And that begins with the asset identification, because I did not know all the time what was being spun up. I did not know if a compute instance was there. And that's really where solutions such as Qualys can come in and really help with that asset identification. But beyond that, some of the challenges with multi-cloud is the consistency across tools and having that visibility. So all of your cloud providers, they have native tools to help you with your assessment. We have CloudGuard and AWS, Azure. They have Security Hub and GuardDuty, but they all speak different languages and they all quantify risk differently. I remember I was talking with a CIO recently of an energy company, and they were going through and trying to understand our cloud security posture management and how we did our risk scoring. And they were a Qualys customer. And the reason why they went with Qualys wasn't because they didn't necessarily like our tool. It was because now they had a consistent way to look across all clouds using the same language and using the right quantification for their risk. Now, along with that, another big challenge that a lot of organizations face is around data sovereignty. So with data sovereignty, we have compliance regulations such as GDPR and others. And I know that when you start dispersing your data across various cloud providers, it can be challenging. So I'm curious, Jonathan, with data sovereignty being so critical, how do you balance the compliance with those local data regulations, while at the same time leveraging the innovation and what you can do with cloud deployments?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think this comes down to our big partnership, obviously with OCI and Oracle, but as a SaaS-based product, right? It is important that we keep your data local to the country or region that's appropriate for your compliance framework, right? So most of you are probably our U.S.-based customers, right? So it's important that the data stays within the United States. But equally, right, for our EU customers, same platform, same code base, obviously, but we have to be able to maintain that data sovereignty residency within an EU country. In total, we have 14 different pods, and again, the reason for those, a lot of those is simply to meet different compliance requirements. I think one of our more recent ones was Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which we've just launched not too long ago, but have stood up the Qualys cloud platform in KSA. And again, the big focus there really was that the local national cloud compliance regulations required that all of the data would be running right and maintained within the territory there. I think similar with us is big focus on serving our federal customers, federal government, state and local government customers, and we're FedRAMP moderates, which tends to become your kind of federal government, state and local government platform, and then we're on our way to being FedRAMP high. And again, that partnership has really been with adopting a lot of the controls that are already in place, right, within Oracle. And so that allows us to move faster, use the same code base to deploy in those regions. But I would say data sovereignty is definitely on the top of the list for all of our customers. In fact, we probably respond to about 3,000 different requests for information from our customers who are validating our security. And guaranteed, data sovereignty and then compliance with those jurisdictions' laws are on top of the list, right, of them assessing how well we can serve them. So I would say that's really our view and kind of why we use OCI so heavily there. So it's been a really good partnership from that front, I would say. Yeah, I'm curious. Moving a little bit, I guess, slightly to a different topic, but. You work with a lot of different companies and organizations, and then, they're all dealing with different tech stacks, and we hear a lot about cloud risk and risk in the cloud, and is the cloud risky, and if so, how? But, how do you think about that? How do you think serving your customers? How do you think about cloud risk and quantifying that risk? Any insights you can share with the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So, as I think about risk, certainly it begins with understanding what those critical assets are. And one of the things about Oracle is we have been known for our data and our databases. A lot of our customers are putting their critical data inside of OCI. One of the things that I find that our customers really appreciate is as we discuss the shared responsibility model. And the way I like to think about that is I remember a few years ago I sold a camper trailer. I got I think $8,000 cash, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of cash in my hands. What do I do with this? And I could keep it in my house, but then I would have to secure it with with cameras and alarms and a safe. I'd have to remember the code. Or I could just put it in a bank where I trust that. I know that they're gonna protect it because they've invested a lot. And that's really what happens within OCI as you have different tech stacks. By having that shared responsibility model, we help with all the way through the network virtualization and the security right up the tech stack, and that helps so many of our customers because when I started out installing Novell servers. Anybody remember Novell? Yeah. Novell Network, yeah. So I started out with that. That'd be an all-day project, and now you can get spun up so quickly. But one of the challenges that some of our customers face is, okay, I get the shared responsibility model. Our CISOs get it, but now I got to communicate that to the board, and now I got to take what these tools are telling me in terms of risk quantifications, and I have to translate that to the board. So, Jonathan, I'm curious, how do you see the role of the CISO evolving within board communication?
Yeah, I think for a long time, CISOs really didn't report up to the board. Definitely the trend today is, especially publicly traded, right? If they're not reporting to the board, something's broken. U.S. publicly traded with the current regulations now. I think there still are situations where, maybe the CIO is representing, the security and the IT, or maybe the CTO is, but at least those security conversations are happening. And I think CISOs are facing really difficult conversations right now, being pretty new to the boardroom, right? I mean, honestly, I mean, you would get called in if there was an incident, but I think, you know, being a regular participant in board discussions is fairly new. And I'll just give you an example of what I mean by difficult conversations. I was not a company I work for, but I was advising for and was working with this board. And one of the board members specifically said, unless our CISO can clearly articulate what I'm buying on their budget, I'm never going to give them another penny to invest in. In fact, the person then pressed and said, you know, why wouldn't I just buy the max insurance and just say, you guys go do whatever you want? Like, I don't know what you guys do. I don't understand what you're telling me. I'm just going to buy insurance. You know, we'll do the max limit, and I don't know, whatever you guys go do, you're not getting any more money from me. And obviously there was some, I don't know all the dynamics at play there, because again, I didn't work full time for that company, but obviously this board member was unclear of what the security team was delivering. And I think when I peeled back and looked at it, again, more in an advisory role, you know, again, I think a lot of it went back to kind of the reporting that they were reporting to the board. It was a lot of kind of audit and compliance material, you know, and it was pretty common for them to ask for 20% more budget, 20% more budget, you know, hire more people. And then I think the other thing, you know, they continue to have, I wouldn't say major incidents, but they continue to have noteworthy incidents, right? And so this specific board member was like, I'm giving you 20% more year over year, yet we're still having noteworthy incidents, and you can't articulate how you're aligning that, you know, to what I'm buying down, right? And a lot of frustration there. And so, you know, I think those conversations are going to be more prevalent. I think board members are being trained better on how to think about cyber risks, like the National Association of Corporate Directors, where a lot of the corporate directors are, actually has curriculum now where they train them on cybersecurity. And then I think the other thing that you're starting to see is boards will supplement. It will not be a board member, but they'll bring in an advisor. So they'll bring in a seasoned CISO or someone to advise them. And so, you know, I think it's good conversations. The more you can quantify risk in financial terms, as we've talked about this week, you know, the better those conversations go generally. I'm curious about what you're seeing, though, in that space.
Yeah, no, there's been a shift where I've seen a lot of CISOs now having a place at the board table. But to your point, it's well, how do we tie this back to the business? You know, one of the challenges with you know, having, say, vulnerability scanning tools is you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if my vulnerabilities are going down, is that actually what's happening, or are they going down because the tools I have, you know, aren't relying on the latest threat intelligence? They don't know about all the vulnerabilities, and so there's always has to be at the core the trust in the tools that that you're using to identify risk in your environment. And I'm finding a lot of our customers now are having to translate that, especially to cost, to be able to show that yes, the investments are in fact beneficial.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, this is probably, I'm assuming, relevant to everyone. Securing AI is kind of the broad topic, but there's a lot underneath this topic. You know, as you think about opening up AI and the ability of Oracle and others to use AI, obviously a lot of concerns kick in, right? Where is my data? Is my data going to be used to train these models? You know, on and on. So you know, how should I guess us, the audience, think about, you know, AI and, you know, any good tricks for dealing with AI securely?
Yeah. So first, I'm not going to try to do as good a job as Naeem earlier. He did a phenomenal job on it. But what I will say, you know, we're seeing the trend is around chatbots that are leveraging retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And this is where you have all of your documents or your databases in one location, and then you're doing fine-tuning against the document corpus. So in terms of security, it's in some ways, it's nothing new. You have data coming in, you have data going out, and you have data at rest. And so for data coming in, you have to protect against biases, and you have to, most of the time they are connected via APIs. So having the right API security is critical, along with identity access. And then really focus on the document corpus, where you're storing that data. So with Oracle, we encrypt the data at rest, but beyond that, it comes down to object storage security, and some of those classic. Oh, did I go out? Okay. And some of those classic security controls. Now, what's also important is having the visibility, because one of the powerful things about AI innovation, even within OCI, it's really easy. It's just a few clicks, and now I have a fine-tuned model. Well, the risk of that is, what business units are firing this up, who's doing what are all of my LLMs in use, and that's where Oracle with Qualys really benefit each other, is because now with Qualys, you can have that AI asset inventory so that you can know what's going on, because you can't know what you have to secure unless you know what you have first.
Oh, that's great. I'm curious from the audience, how many of you have a corporate AI security policy? How many of you follow it? No, I'm joking. Don't answer. No one's using ChatGPT or anything to write their emails, or half jokingly, it is a very difficult topic, right? Like like anything, like security's trying to get their arms around a very highly beneficial technology, right? It's phenomenal, but I think our partnership there will really help everyone, hopefully, apply your policy to be able to adopt it safely, because I think if you're not aware of this right now, I guarantee you your employees are using AI in some capacity, whether you say they shouldn't be or not, they're definitely using it. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Well, I think we got maybe time for one last question here, which is just any ending thoughts on our partnership, and maybe I'll start and then I'll let you in. But I think our goal is to create a product that works seamlessly in OCI. So if you're a consumer of OCI technology, right, and you need to do vulnerability management, cloud posture management, obviously it's easy to plug in. And I think because of our partnership as well, we stay up to date on the changes to OCI and the changes in deployment of technology, so that we're able to move fast, right, to bring that inventory and security tools with you, like the AI example I think that you brought up. But I think it helps because, again, you can use your solutions or bring your licenses into Oracle, which gives you options depending on how you want to run your program.
Yeah, great. And one of the things that I hear from customers is with the Qualys integration, especially with vulnerability management, is that now they can have the same risk score. They can understand it across the board. They're not having to translate from one tool to another tool that they then have to share with the board. So like what I love about the partnership is there is a very deep integration. Like sometimes down to the kernel level. And with that integration, it's able to pull in the insights that you need and be able to do it in a way that works across various cloud environments. So, yeah.
Well, Andrew, thank you. I think we're going to wrap it up and turn it over to the next one.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew and Jonathan.